There was a moment when I was still managing the gym that I remember very clearly. I was sitting in the office having a private meeting with a few important clients, when suddenly one of the staff burst into the room crying for help. A member had fainted during spinning class, and at that moment, everything seemed to slow down and freeze at the same time. A lot of questions rushed into my head, like, what about the client sitting right in front of me? Did somebody call the ambulance? Did the member hit her head when she fell down? Is she still conscious? If you're new here, hi, I'm Tiffany, and this is a part of the Lead Yourself series, where we're building a framework to help us make better decisions in relationships and at work, without overreacting, disappearing, or losing influence. I'm sharing what I've learned along the way, so you won't have to waste time and energy on the same mistakes that end up costing more than they should. Anyway, back to the moment in the office. For a second, my mind stalled. Not because I didn't know what to do, I've dealt with emergencies before, but suddenly there were too many signals arriving at the same time. The staff member panicking, the client staring at me waiting for any reaction, and people were moving around outside the office trying to figure out what was happening. For a moment, the system simply stopped sorting. I think most of us have experienced moments like this. Something urgent happens, and signals start coming from all directions. And suddenly, it feels like everything needs attention right now. Someone is asking a question, another person is waiting for a direction. And new information keeps arriving even before you process the previous one. When pressure rises like that, most of us try to move faster. We try to think faster, respond faster, and solve the situation immediately. It feels logical at the moment. Many of us were taught good leadership means staying on top of things and reacting quickly. But when I look back at moments like that, I realized something interesting. The problem wasn't that I didn't know what to do. The problem was the system was overloaded. When too many signals arrive at the same time and we haven't processed them yet, our brain struggles to sort what actually matters. Every information starts to feel urgent. Every decision starts to feel risky. Our minds try to process everything at once, but when that happens, clarity collapses. That's usually the moment when people either panic, overreact, or freeze completely. And later, probably will look back and think, why did I handle it that way? It's not because we lack intelligence or experience, it's because the system, our brain, was trying to process everything, too much information at once. Looking back at the moment at the gym, the first thing I needed to do wasn't to solve the emergency immediately. What I actually needed to do was to slow the system down. So after taking a deep breath, I told my colleague to go back to class and check on the member. Then I turned to the clients who were waiting for my reaction and said, "Excuse me for a moment." That breath I took, that tiny pause, created just enough space for signals to separate. Someone fainted, check if she's conscious, call the ambulance, and then clear the area. The emergency itself hadn't changed, but once the signals were separated, the situation became manageable again. And this is a skill most of us were never taught. When pressure rises, slow the body first. When our bodies enter urgency mode, our breathings become shallow, muscles tighten, and our nervous systems start to treat everything as an emergency or a threat. And when the brain tries to process everything simultaneously, that's when clarity vanishes. But on the other hand, when we try to slow the body down, even just a little bit, our mind starts to shift out of urgency mode. Breathing slow down, muscles relax, and our brain regains the ability to sort signals again. Once the signals are separated, our mind can prioritize. One thing becomes more important than the other, then the next step becomes clearer. Not the perfect solution, but the next clear move. And in moments of pressure, that's usually enough. For this episode, I created a simple worksheet to help practice this skill. I call it the pressure reset. The idea is pretty straightforward. If you need a clear guideline on how to slow down step by step, you'll find it helpful. Anyway, pressure will always exist in our lives. Deadlines will appear, conversations will matter, and decisions will carry weight. The goal isn't to eliminate pressure. The goal is to recognize the moment when urgency starts running the system. In the next episode, we're going to build on this idea. A lot of people think that influence comes from confidence or pushing harder than anyone else in the room. But influence usually doesn't come from force. It comes from something much quieter, emotional steadiness and clarity. People tend to follow a person who feels stable when things get messy. We'll explore that idea in the next episode. I'll see you there. Bye!